Chosen one, listen carefully, for I have an urgent and vital message that has been perfectly timed to reach you. This message is not for everyone, it is for those who walk the divine path of God, for those who have been marked, separated, and called for a higher purpose. If you are someone who is serious about your relationship with God, someone who seeks truth, spiritual alignment, and obedience, then this message is for you. However, if you are not ready for what God is doing in your life, or if you are not walking in alignment with Him, you may find yourself uncomfortable with this message, and that discomfort is your sign to let go and move on. But if you are still here, then know that heaven has orchestrated this moment just for you. Your spirit has risen, and you have shifted to a higher level of awareness. You have moved beyond mere survival mode and have entered what many refer to as the fifth dimension, a higher realm of spiritual clarity, truth, and peace. This is not some mystical idea or abstract concept, it is a tangible shift that is occurring within you right now. What I am about to share will explain what is happening inside you, why life feels different, and what God is preparing you for next. In this new dimension, things are not the same. You are beginning to see the world through a different lens, one where truth becomes clear, and peace becomes your natural state. As you have ascended to this new frequency, your spirit has found its true alignment with God's will. You are beginning to live from a place of wisdom, not reaction, grounded in divine peace and clarity rather than emotional chaos. This shift is profound, and the peace you now experience is not just fleeting, it is your new reality. In the past, you may have felt restless, unsettled, or overwhelmed by the chaos of life. Now, however, that burden is beginning to lift. You are entering a season of spiritual elevation and growth, a time when your connection to God is deepening and your sense of peace is growing stronger. This shift is not an accident, it is the culmination of your journey. God has prepared you for this moment, and now He is ready to take you to new heights. What you are experiencing is confirmation of your alignment with God's truth, His peace, and His divine will. Stay with me through this message, because what I share next will settle your spirit and fortify your calling. This is just the beginning of what God is about to do in your life. Your frequency has shifted, and you are entering a season of higher awareness. It is time to embrace this new dimension with open arms and trust that God is guiding you every step of the way. Chosen one, let's take a moment to truly understand what spiritual frequency means. We are not talking about something mystical or foreign to God's design. Frequency is simply alignment with the divine. It's the state of your spirit in relation to God's truth and will. From the very beginning, God created the universe to operate in divine order, rhythm, and harmony. Light has frequency. Sound has frequency. Even the human heart operates in rhythm. All of creation responds to divine patterns, from the stars in the sky to the beats of your heart. Spiritual frequency is no different. It refers to how closely your inner life is tuned to God's presence, His voice, and His will. When your frequency is low, you find yourself living in reaction, fear controls you, anger drains you, and confusion clouds your judgment. You might feel restless or ungrounded even when everything appears fine on the surface. This state is not a sign of weakness, but rather a sign that your spirit is out of alignment with God's design. Sin, trauma, disobedience, and prolonged stress can pull your soul downward, dulling your spiritual sensitivity and keeping you stuck in survival mode. But when God begins to work in the life of a chosen one, the first thing He restores is alignment. He doesn't rush you into platforms or blessings. He first works on the inner posture of your spirit. You begin to pray differently, think differently, and obey God even when it's uncomfortable. As you do, something shifts inside you. Your spirit becomes less reactive and more grounded. This is the rising of your spiritual frequency, no excitement or hype, but stability, peace, and clarity. You start to notice a significant change in how you respond to the world around you. Jesus Himself demonstrated this alignment. He was never hurried, anxious, or controlled by external circumstances. He moved with authority because He was fully aligned with the Father. That alignment was His frequency. He could walk into chaos and bring order without force. You, too, are called to carry that same power and authority. The more you walk in truth, humility, repentance, and discipline, the higher your spiritual frequency becomes. As your frequency rises, you will begin to notice that certain conversations and environments feel heavy, while others feel uplifting. You will be more sensitive to your surroundings, discerning what aligns with your spirit and what doesn't. This discernment is a gift from God, helping you protect your peace and stay aligned with His truth. As your frequency rises, you will start to notice that your life begins to shift in profound ways. The more aligned you become with God's truth, the more your inner life governs your outer world. You will no longer be easily swayed by emotions or external circumstances. This new frequency brings clarity and peace that permeate every area of your life. One of the first changes you will notice is your ability to detach from old patterns of behavior. Emotions that once controlled your decisions, such as fear, anger, and sadness, will no longer dictate your responses. Instead, you will find yourself observing these emotions rather than reacting to them. You will pause before you speak, reflect before you act, and pray before you respond. This is spiritual maturity at work. You will learn to regulate your emotions and act with wisdom, rather than being led by impulse. With your frequency rising, you will also become more discerning. What once seemed trivial or unimportant will begin to feel heavy. You will find that certain conversations no longer interest you, and certain environments begin to feel draining. This is not arrogance, it is spiritual discernment awakening within you. Your spirit is rejecting what no longer matches its alignment with God's truth. You will start to see the world more clearly, recognizing what is aligned with God's will and what isn't. Another noticeable shift is that your priorities will begin to change. You will no longer seek validation from the world or engage in the emotional games that once drained you. As your frequency rises, you stop explaining yourself to people who cannot hear you. You stop arguing with those who cannot understand where God is taking you. This is a sign of growth. You are learning that not everyone can meet you where God has taken you, and that is okay. Your relationships may also begin to shift. As your frequency rises, your sense of peace and clarity will become more important than being liked or accepted. You will find that you no longer have the energy to engage in drama or negativity. Instead, you will gravitate toward people who share your values and who align with the truth you now walk in. You are learning to value your peace more than external approval. The fifth dimension is not a distant place or a mystical escape, it is a state of spiritual awareness where your inner life governs your outer world. When you reach this dimension, you no longer live by sight, but by faith. Circumstances no longer define you or determine your direction. Instead, you are guided by divine discernment, peace, and truth. At this level, life begins to look different. You interpret events spiritually before reacting emotionally. You no longer feel pressure from external circumstances or the expectations of others. What once seemed like delays or setbacks now reveals itself as preparation. Closed doors no longer hurt as deeply because you trust God's timing more than your own expectations. You begin to understand that life is shaping you, not attacking you. This new awareness brings steadiness. You stop rushing, forcing, or explaining. You begin to wait patiently for God's guidance, trusting that He will lead you in His perfect timing. In this dimension, your mind becomes quieter. Even when life remains demanding, fear no longer drives your decisions. Panic no longer controls your reactions. You pause before responding, you pray before speaking, and you reflect instead of exploding. This calm is not weakness, it is strength, refined by your trust in God. As you live in this higher dimension, you also experience emotional regulation. You still feel deeply, but your feelings no longer dictate your actions. Sadness, anger, and joy no longer control you. They visit, but they do not consume you. Emotions become information that you process and observe, rather than commands that lead you into reaction. This emotional maturity is a clear sign that you have entered this higher dimension of awareness. Living in a higher frequency world is not as easy as it may seem. While peace and clarity increase within you, the pressure from the world around you often increases as well. As you rise in spiritual alignment, you may notice that misaligned environments and relationships begin to feel more intense. This contrast can create tension, as you move more slowly and deliberately while the world around you rushes and moves chaotically. One of the first challenges you will face is loneliness. This loneliness is not caused by rejection but by growth. As you elevate, you may outgrow certain connections, and you will begin to feel isolated. Conversations that once felt light and comforting now seem shallow, and shared interests with others fade. This can be confusing, as nothing dramatic may have caused the separation. God often removes the noise from your life before He reveals His direction for you. In this season of solitude, you are learning to rely on God without substitutes. This time of separation is not meant to harm you, but to deepen your dependence on His presence. Another challenge is being misunderstood. As your frequency rises, your responses to life's challenges change. You stop reacting emotionally and begin engaging with wisdom. Others may interpret this as arrogance or indifference, especially if they are used to the more reactive version of you. But this change is necessary for your growth. You no longer feel the need to explain yourself to those who cannot understand. You are learning that clarity does not require defense. Living at this higher frequency also brings increased spiritual resistance. As you grow spiritually, old temptations may resurface, and doubt may quietly whisper. Fatigue may appear unexpectedly, and you may begin to question your path. But these challenges are not signs that something is wrong, they are confirmation that transformation is occurring. God uses resistance to strengthen your discernment, to help you identify what drains you and what nourishes you. This spiritual endurance is built through pressure, not ease. Once you have reached the fifth dimension, the next challenge is to sustain your alignment. This is not something that happens automatically. You must be intentional about guarding your inner life, your thoughts, emotions, and intentions. What you allow into your spirit matters greatly. Negative thoughts, fear, comparison, and pride can slowly lower your frequency and lead you back into confusion. One of the most important ways to sustain your alignment is through regular prayer. This prayer is not about begging God for answers, but about staying connected to Him, aligning your will with His, and remaining grounded in His truth. Short, sincere prayers throughout the day will help you stay centered. Silence is also a form of prayer. Sitting quietly in God's presence will recalibrate your inner world and bring you back to alignment. Emotional honesty is another key aspect of maintaining your alignment. You must be willing to process your emotions with God rather than ignoring them or suppressing them. When emotions are left unprocessed, they create spiritual clutter that disturbs your peace and clarity. By acknowledging your feelings, you allow God to work through them and keep your spirit in alignment. Rest is also essential. You cannot sustain a higher frequency if you are constantly overexerting yourself. God designed you to function rhythmically, not endlessly. Rest resets your nervous system, restores clarity, and strengthens your discernment. It is just as important as prayer and emotional honesty in sustaining your alignment. Finally, boundaries are crucial. Not everyone can walk with you at this level of awareness. You must be intentional about where you spend your time and with whom. Some relationships drain your energy and misalign your spirit. Setting boundaries allows you to protect your peace and stay focused on your divine calling. Saying no is a spiritual skill that preserves your energy for what truly matters. Your elevation is not a reward, it is a calling. God does not elevate you simply to make your life easier or more comfortable. Elevation comes with responsibility. As you rise spiritually, you are being positioned to serve others, to lead with wisdom, and to influence the world around you through your calm, steady presence. This elevation is a sign that God trusts you with His vision. You are not called to elevate yourself for the sake of fame or recognition. Rather, you are elevated to serve, to help others see the truth, to guide them toward peace, and to demonstrate the power of God's presence in your life. Your stability and discernment will become a source of strength for those around you. As you step into this higher frequency, remember that it is not about superiority. It is about being prepared for what God is calling you to. Your elevation was not meant to separate you from humanity but to prepare you to serve it more wisely. You cannot heal from the same level that wounded you. God is lifting you so you can see clearly, love more deeply, and guide others without becoming entangled in their struggles. Your elevation comes with both spiritual authority and humility. You are called to lead, but you are also called to serve. The higher you rise, the more you must guard your heart against pride. Humility is key to sustaining your elevation. It keeps you grounded and focused on your mission, rather than your personal desires. Your elevation is not for your own glory, it is for God's purpose in the world. As you continue to ascend into a higher frequency, one of the most important gifts you will receive is heightened discernment. This is the ability to perceive what others cannot see, to feel what others cannot feel, and to know what others cannot know. Your spirit becomes finely attuned to the signals of God, and you begin to sense truth and falsehood more clearly than ever before. With your frequency elevated, you will begin to see beyond appearances. What once seemed like small, insignificant actions or words now hold deeper meaning. You will start to understand people's motives, even when they do not speak them aloud. You will notice subtle shifts in energy, atmosphere, and dynamics that others may completely overlook. This heightened discernment will serve as a powerful guide in every area of your life. For example, you may walk into a room and immediately sense whether the environment is positive or negative, whether the energy is in alignment with your spirit or not. In relationships, you will be able to discern who is genuine and who is not, who carries purity in their intentions and who might be driven by ulterior motives. This discernment is not about judgment, but about protection, protecting your energy, your peace, and your calling. However, with this new ability comes a responsibility to handle it with care. It is easy to become overwhelmed by all that you can see and sense, but God has given you this gift not to overwhelm you, but to guide you in your walk with Him. You will need to stay humble and avoid arrogance, remembering that discernment should not be used to elevate yourself above others but to serve and protect those around you. In this elevated frequency, you will also learn to discern God's voice more clearly. You will hear His nudges, His guidance, and His directions more distinctly. Whether you are making a big decision or navigating the day-to-day, your discernment will be a compass, pointing you in the direction of God's will for your life. Discernment is a form of spiritual maturity. It allows you to make decisions with wisdom, to recognize when to act and when to wait, and to know when to speak and when silence is the most powerful response. This power of discernment will sharpen as you continue to obey God, stay connected to His presence, and walk in truth. Living in a higher frequency doesn't mean that you will be free from the challenges and distractions of the 3D world around you. In fact, one of the most profound challenges that comes with spiritual elevation is the tension between the lower frequencies of the world and the higher frequency you now operate in. The world you live in is full of distractions, noise, and chaos. People are often driven by emotions, reactions, and temporary desires. They are often stuck in patterns of fear, anger, and confusion. As you move into a higher frequency, you will feel a significant contrast between the peace, clarity, and divine order within you and the chaos around you. This tension can be challenging to navigate. You may feel pulled between your desire to maintain your peace and the pressures of the world trying to drag you back into its noise. You might find yourself questioning why you can no longer connect with old friends or engage in the same conversations. The truth is that as your frequency rises, your priorities, desires, and even your relationships begin to change. What once seemed important may now feel trivial or even draining. The key to navigating this tension is understanding that you are not meant to fight the world's chaos, but to rise above it. You are called to be in the world but not of it. This means that while you continue to live in the world, interact with others, and engage in your responsibilities, your spirit remains rooted in God's peace and clarity. You can still engage with the world, but you do so from a place of spiritual authority, rather than reacting to the chaos around you. You may feel tempted to explain yourself, to make others understand your new perspective, but remember that not everyone is ready to hear or receive the changes in you. God has elevated you to see things from a higher perspective, and He will guide you on how to respond to the world around you without getting entangled in it. It's important to protect your peace by setting boundaries. Avoid environments, conversations, and people that drain you or misalign your spirit. You will find that as your frequency rises, certain relationships will naturally fade, not because you don't care, but because they no longer match the alignment God has set for you. Don't be discouraged by this shift. It's part of your growth and the natural process of walking in a higher dimension. You are being refined for a purpose. As you continue to maintain your elevated frequency, you will notice that you are able to influence and guide the world around you, not by force, but through your steady, calm presence. You will become a living example of what it means to be in perfect alignment with God's will. Now that you have reached a higher frequency, it's essential to understand the sacred responsibility that comes with it. God has not elevated you merely for personal gain or spiritual superiority, but for the purpose of serving others, guiding them, and helping bring divine order to the world around you. Your elevation is not just about you, it is about the role you are called to play in God's larger plan. As a chosen one walking in an elevated frequency, you are being called to walk in humility, integrity, and love. God is entrusting you with His peace, clarity, and wisdom, not so you can keep it to yourself, but so you can share it with the world. This responsibility is not a burden but a calling to be a beacon of light in a world that desperately needs it. With this responsibility comes the need for constant vigilance. You must guard your heart, your mind, and your spirit to ensure that your alignment with God remains strong. This means living a life of discipline, obedience, and surrender to His will. Your frequency, now higher and more attuned to His presence, will attract both positive and negative attention. You may face opposition, misunderstanding, and even criticism from those who are not yet ready to walk in the frequency you now occupy. As you continue to grow in this new dimension, remember that your frequency is not just for your own benefit. God has elevated you to be a vessel of His light, wisdom, and love in the world. You are now in a position to guide others, to help them rise out of the confusion and chaos of lower frequencies, and to show them the way to peace and clarity in Christ. Your responsibility is sacred, and your calling is powerful. In this new season, continue to protect your peace, stay grounded in God's presence, and walk with humility. You will face challenges, misunderstandings, and moments of discomfort, but know that these are simply the confirmations that you are on the right path. The tension between the world's chaos and your higher frequency will continue, but your job is not to fight the world. Your job is to rise above it, to live from a place of peace, and to guide others to the same. Trust that God is with you every step of the way, continuing to refine you and elevate you for His divine purposes. You have been prepared for this moment, and now it is time to walk boldly in your calling. Do not compare your journey to others. God's timing is perfect, and He is shaping you for something unique and powerful. Stay faithful, stay obedient, and stay aligned. The best is yet to come, and you are exactly where you need to be.